Hello you lovely people and welcome. I thought it was about time that I did a review for the IndiaFoxtEcho Leonardo M-346 Master. I've had it a while and it's it's a lot of fun. So let's get into it. A little bit of history first. Back in 1992, Ermaki and Yakovlev signed an agreement to build a trainer / light ground attack aircraft in collaboration, but by the year 2000 they found that they wanted different things, so they went their separate ways. So the now Leonardo produced the M-346 and Yakovlev produced the Yak-130, and as you can probably tell, pretty much same aircraft with some subtle differences. The main one externally being on the Yakovlev 130 is the intake ramps that drop down from the top of the engine nacelles, so that it has the ability to take off from rough to no airstrips at all. But going back to the 346, very strange that the RAF pilots will now be learning to fly on this machine at the International Flight Training School over in Decimumanu on Sardinia, when we have a perfectly good flight training school service here in the UK. But that's what happens when the government decides to train foreign pilots over domestic. So this is where our future pilots will be learning to fly, and what they're learning to fly on, which nullifies basically the Hawk. So I don't know what the thinking behind that is really. It's just a big mess. Enough of politics. So what do you get in your package? Well, you get the 346 trainer, which can be configured for light attack, or if we change it, ignore the Russian liveries there, just a bit of fun with the third-party liveries from flightsim.to, and this being the M346 fighter attack variant, which has 7 hard points, so it has extra wingtip hard points here. It also has an advanced Griffo 346 radar. It has countermeasures and features to limit radar visibility. Now obviously radar not being a thing in flight sim, you just have to pretend that the radar is on and whatever. So yeah, this is the fighter attack version. You get 2 extra hard points, which you can put smoke winders on. 2 and 6, and 3, 4 and 5 will have fuel tanks respectively. So in terms of liveries, with the fighter attack variant, you get a Turkmenistan Air Force livery, which is pretty similar to this. You get the primer version, and you also get the factory livery camo. As I said, those two are from flightsim.to. And if we go back to the Leonardo 346, and we go to liveries, ignore the two Russian ones again, we get the International Flight Training School, like I say, based at Decimumanu on Sardinia. You get various Italian squadron liveries, anniversary liveries, Israeli Air Force livery, Polish, Republic of Singapore, 2 variants there, Hellenic Air Force, which have 2 of these aircraft on strength at the moment, and I believe they are going to eventually take over the North American T2 Buckeye that they're still using. Primer again, and then International Flight Training School Special Tail, which I'll be flying in the video. So yeah, that's enough with deliveries. Let's jump into the cockpit. Right, let's have a look around the cockpit, starting left to right. Back here we have some unclickable switches for the engines, which select dry, wet and fly. Down here is another unclickable switch. We have a emergency landing gear lever here. Rear stat not able to be used there. Throttle friction there. Obviously the throttles themselves. You have the weapons management, air brake and map gain there. Push to talk and radio frequency selectors there. We have MCGS switch there and a GPS switch, power switch. Yaw trim, takeoff trim, neutral flying control systems there, and a fail reset. We've got data link switch there, a DAS switch there, flight control radar there, arm train switch there, and these are your starters for the engines and the ignition switches. Then you've got APU controls at the top there. Parking brake, a fuel shut off for the left engine, fire extinguisher, gear lever, taxi and takeoff lights, landing lights, sorry. Emergency jettison, select jettison, late arm switch, helmet mounted display, rear stat there, real sim inoperable. Across the top here you've got some autopilot controls. These aren't all the autopilot. It's flight director, autopilot on off, altitude hold and your altitude select there. Up this end here we've got the barometric pressure knob, master caution, up front control with a lot of buttons that you can push on here, 3 MFDs. We move the stick out the way. We have some switches that are unclickable, flight control systems. You've got a fuel shut off for the APU, fire extinguish for APU PARs. Over here, and on the side of the up front controllers you have one rear stat there which does the raster brightness for the UFC, and then a HUD and UFC power switch there. Over here we've got course, needle, knob and heading bug selector there, a clock, batteries, generators, fire extinguisher for the right engine and fuel shut off for the right engine. We have power switches for communication or radios, nav ILS, TACAN and RADAL. We have audio knobs here, so for different things like the UFC radio, nav1 markers and so on. We have IFF here, which obviously doesn't do anything in sim. The environmental control system, so you've got camera and temperature, bleed on, and over here we've got the rain removal and demist. Internal lights, external lights. Down here we've got the mass or master arm selector there, and then we've got some power switches at the back here which are automatically on, and then you've got your canopy controls there. So that's the front seat. Let's jump into the back. As you can see, it's a pretty good view from back here. We've got we've actually got a HUD, not just a screen. UFC light at the front, all layout for the autopilot and course and heading there. It's pretty much a carbon copy of the front, except that we can't use the engine startup switches, or the ignitions anyway. We use the start switches, and we've got APU underneath. Everything else is pretty much similar. We've got some bits missing that obviously only the student pilot could use. Here again we've got battery and generators that have got a gate over the top that you can't lift, and we can't use any of the fuel shut-offs. We can use the PARs, but not the APU fire extinguisher. I forgot that you can arm the ejector seats there. You've got console lighting here and all your audio controls again. Canopy actuation there, and then you've got ejection mode, which is both rear or solo, which is a very interesting system, pretty similar to what's inside the F-15 Strike Eagle. And then we've got some switches here that are unclickable. So that's the layout of the back. So let's do a quick walk around of the external model, and as you can see, it's very nicely detailed, very well modelled. A lot of removed for flight tags and covers, things that make it look busy while it's on the ground. Wheel chocks, and obviously the addition there of the crew ladder. All of these will disappear once power has been applied. So yeah, very impressive flight external model, and the liveries are pretty good too. Although they don't look as good on my machine, remember, I'm not running a very powerful machine at all, so they won't look as good as they would do for yours if you're running anything quicker or better than a GTX 360. Right, so let's jump back in the pilot seat. Okay, so let's get some power in here. Switch on the APU. Okay, so we've got some screens here. Flying control system warning light is flashing there, as are canopies and oxygen there. We'll just ignore that for now. We'll just go through some of the menus. There are two menus, you click it twice. So we've got weapons management, CNI, which is communication, navigation and identification, status of the aircraft. Obviously all the systems that are go will say go, and others will say not applicable, but they will turn to go once the systems are up and running. Flight control systems, so all your various bits of information, bank angle, your not bank angle, sorry, trims and stuff, and all your hydraulic pressures. ETTS is in-op. Fire control radar is what it is. Targeting pod obviously will show mast, as it's not operable in flight sim. Electronic warfare system, and this will show, this would show, pretty much a radar warning receiver will tell you of any targets or issues that are in the area. And then horizontal situation display there. Systems, this is your engines and all your warning, basically an annunciator panel, which we don't have one in cockpit, it's all on the MFD. Map, pretty simple, really, a moving map. Horizontal situation indicator. This will show you, if you go into this, you can change your nav to TACAN if you tuned into a TACAN, or you can change to VOR, anything like that. It's all done through here, and you can do the same this side as well, and you can switch those off if you so wish, like so. Menu, HSI, CADI, so your back, well, you basically your I forget the name of it now. Well, you've got your angle of attack, altitude, speed, your datum in the middle there, your bank angle indicators there, and your heading and things like that. I've had a complete brain fart, so I do apologise. You'll know what this is called. And then we've got IN, a GPS, this will give you the coordinates of where you are. DTM in op. HUD-R, if we switch that on, put the brightness up. There we go. DVD-R is in operative, and NDS. On menu 2 we have the checklist, so if you want to go through your checklists in cockpit you can. For takeoff, in flight and landing, and then the last one, NDS in op. failures simulation. I don't know if these actually work or not. I've not actually got around to trying them. I might have to do that actually. That's pretty good system. Okay, so if we go back to HSI, okay, an up front controller. So you've got your comms there, and you do IFF, comms again, flight plan, no mission database, no go, steer points, data, so be your laser codes, your fuel, your height, GPWS, things like that. Helmet mounted display, if we turn that up and look around, we now have helmet mounted display, which is a nice feature. Waypoints, TACAN, so all you do is click here, you can key in, wait a minute, let's clear that, 061, just enter. We've got 061 X-ray in as the, well, you can change it to Yankee in the TACAN now, and then if we were to come down here, click TACAN there, if we were chasing at, this is just a random code that I plucked out of nowhere. It should give you the directions, DME and everything there. Declutter, VOR ILS, so you put in your VOR or ILS frequency there. So if we go 111.150, which is ILS for RF Coningsby, just off the top of my head, and then come down here again, click VOR. You would then get steering information and things like that, and it would also be displayed on your HUD. And then you got your barometer fix. Along the bottom here, you got your autopilot, which gives you extra functions, so you can choose heading hold, altitude hold, roll hold, feet, FPA, another brain fart again, HNAV, vertical speed, localizer, and approach. Now, all in all, the autopilot is pretty good. I've not been able to get the approach to work properly yet, but that's probably just a pilot error. So let's get the engine started. We'll have a listen outside the aircraft, and then we'll take it up in the air. Okay, so let's do a 360 and have a listen to the sounds. Alright, not the best I've heard, but not the worst. Just throttling up, throttle down, so we can get some pitch difference. Test the air brake. It really doesn't look like this thing should fly. It looks way too short. Looks front heavy and a massive fin that will give you a lot of problems in a crosswind. But it's a good thing to train on then, get you prepared for anything. Right, so let's do some underwing stores. Go to weight and balance. Now we're ignoring stations 1 and 7 because that's for fighter attack only. Probe can't be removed from the vanilla 346, I believe it's only the fighter attack variant. So we'll go for station 2, put in 220, get a smoke winder up there. Station 3, 350, 3,500, bloody hell. 350, station 4, 350. Okay, and then station 5, 350. And then station 6, 220. Okay, so if we get rid of this, we now have 3 fuel tanks and a couple of smoke winders. And now that the tanks are on, we can actually fill the fuel up on those tanks. You aren't able to actually fill any of the externals until the tanks have actually been fitted. But I'm going to go with 50. Actually, no, I'll go with a little bit less than that. I'll go 28% fuel because I'm only doing a short flight, and I really don't want to land heavy. So yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good once it's armed up, and looks like it can carry quite a bit. I mean, it's got a 3-ton payload spread over, well, not completely 3-ton, that would be the fighter attack variant, but spread over 5 hard points, whereas the fighter attack variant has 7, as I said before. So you can have smoke winders on the wingtips as well. So let's get this thing up in the air, let's do some ground handling, and yeah, see how she handles. Right, so for the purpose of this flight, I've actually gone in and taken all the stores off of the wings, as I don't want any drag coefficient to play any part in the flight testing. But we're ready to go. Let's make our way down to the end of the runway, see what the ground handling is like. So we're going to take our parking brake off, or forward slightly. It's very quick at accelerating. It's not a slouch, that's for sure. And nozzle steering is very good. It's just right for the size of the aircraft. It's not too heavy, it's not too light. Now you need to keep an eye on the speed as you go, because it will get away from you. Tight corner coming up here. And a bit too fast there. As I say, this thing doesn't take long to get speed up. Brakes feel a bit spongy. So it's good to prepare ahead of time. Now what I like here is this little indicator on the left hand side. Just reminds me of old school 80s tech sort of indicator that you would get back then on, say, a Tiger handheld game or something. So we've dropped the flaps to take off. Okay, so we just got these little triangular shapes to let us know the position of leading edge and trailing edge. So I'm in landing configuration at the moment. Takeoff. We'll do the air brake. As you can see, it just up in sections. I don't know why, it just reminds me of like a Tiger handheld game from back in the 80s, 90s. Just a bit of a weird nostalgic feeling from that gauge. We've got oxygen flow, which is good. Our backup artificial horizon, I remembered it, yay! Get our helmet mounted display back on. Okay, so let's get this thing up in the air. I'm in takeoff configuration, so we're ready to go. You will need to arm the mass down here, otherwise you'll have this woman just bitching at you the whole time that it's not live. So it's best to switch that to armed, otherwise you'll just get her annoying you. So looking over here at the right hand side, we've got our fuel flow, exhaust gas temperature, and our NH and NL readouts there. So let's roll. Brakes off. Side wind and rotate. We're quite light. Gear up. It's a very strong side wind. As I said, that tail does not help. Flaps up. Okay, don't even need to trim. It's very steady. Back off on the throttle. this thing can get to its maximum speed very, very quickly, around about 570 knots I believe, and then it starts telling you that you're at max speed and you will overstress the airframe or engines. So let's get up to some altitude. Let's throttle forward again. And get to about 10,000 feet. I'm going to roll over and then we'll start. There we go. Let's roll back. Okay, so we're at 11,000 feet. Anyway, either way we have a lot of space between us and the ground. So first things first, we'll do a roll. So yeah, very responsive, as you would like from a training aircraft, although it does like to warble about a bit. Let's do a loop. So we'll take it down to 11,000 and then we'll pull up. Okay, so we're hitting 7G. We're bleeding the speed off really quickly.
Envelope.
Okay,
Envelope.
we've departed flight. I'm on full throttle. I'm pulling back. So we're going to let go. Just let it do its job. Get the speed up.
Stall. Stall.
Okay, and now we can pull back. And we're good to go again. In terms of using this for ACM, wouldn't be very good, as I've heard from a few people, as the simple fact is once you start pulling 7G, it's like hitting a barn door. The speed just bleeds off and departs flight. But if you want to use it for anything else, it's a pretty solid airframe. Good speed, good manoeuvrability. Just a shame that combining the two causes it to depart flight. So I suppose if you're extra cautious with it, you could get a bit out of it, but when it comes to ACM, this is not the aircraft for that. But anything else is good. And I love this helmet mounted display. It's brilliant. Not enough of that across the board when it comes to aircraft in flight sim. So we're gonna make our way back to Dechi, and then we will finish the review up. Okay, so we are back over near Dechi, over to the right hand side. I've got the autopilot on, the flight director, so I'm holding 5,000 feet at the moment. If we go into heading, now the heading bug is down here. If you hold right click and left click, it will set it to where you are currently heading, and very responsive to your commands there. Although the roll, if you're using a mouse roller, it is in reverse, so down goes right and up goes left, which is a bit confusing. But we're going to take the autopilot off now.
Autopilot.
Okay, slow it down. Get the air brake out. Okay, so we're below 250 knots. We get the gear down, flaps down. Takeoff configuration now. Unfortunately, Dechi doesn't have an ILS, so I can't use the ILS to bring this in. put the landing flaps down. Just trim out a little bit. That's one thing this aircraft doesn't need so much, and that's trimming, which is good from an aircraft. Takes a little bit of the load off of the pilot. Bit bouncy. Whoa. Like I said, that tailwind plays a big factor in the with the big old fin at the back there. Also my bad piloting skills. Let's get the air brake back in, flaps up. Well then, so let's get on to the summary. Well, it's been a while since I've done an IndiaFoxtEcho product review, and yeah, I mean I've done the 339 F-35. This is an excellent aircraft. It's not a dogfighter by any stretch, but it flies well. It's pretty quick when it wants to be. I mean, you don't have to do a lot to get it up to the top speed. There's a lot to keep you busy in the cockpit, both front and back. If multi-crew was a thing, this aircraft would be up there with the best of them. It really is a great little aircraft. Sounds good, looks good, feels good. I feel like I'm singing a song there. But yeah, priced at $23.99. You can't argue at that. It's very, very, very much worth the price. And yeah, going through what I read on the description of the aircraft by IndiaFoxtEcho, it's made with as much public data available as possible. So it's as real as it's going to get. The MFD, UFCP and HUD are based on the real aircraft, so you're pretty much getting the real thing for $23.99. Compared to what you get for the Hawk, yes, that's more steam gauge and a little bit old tech compared to the 346. You've got more reliable customer support here, and less complaints about the 346 than the Just Flight Hawk. And obviously IndiaFoxtEcho with their Goshawk, always been a good all-rounder. Love that aircraft, and the 339 is very, very solid. One of the best training aircraft I've flown on the sim so far. It really, really is a good aircraft. So yeah, like I say, great fun if you want to do your navigation, simulated ground attack possibly, but when it comes to ACM or any kind of dogfighting, you can forget that. You'll depart flight and your adversary will be on your tail before you know it. So not for the dogfighters. But yeah, a lot of fun. As I say, there's a lot to keep you busy in the cockpit. A lot of different systems. Autopilot, I'm still trying to figure out the approach. It's a couple of times sent me in the wrong direction, but I believe there's something that I'm doing wrong there. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. $23.99, you can't argue with that. So I'm going to end it here. if you got this far, thank you very much. Sorry for the brain farts in the video. Old age possibly. So yeah, thank you for watching, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.